Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm having another dongle DAC amp for review, and that is the Shanling ONIX Alpha XI1. ONIX is a British audio company established in 1979, and they have been collaborating with Shanling since 2003 to make all sorts of audio products. The Alpha XI1 is the first and latest dongle DAC amp from ONIX. It is currently selling for $109 on online retailing websites. So I bought the ONIX Alpha XI1 with my own money. Everything I said in this review will be my subjective opinion only. So for the unboxing, the box that the Alpha comes with is quite small and minimal. Open it up is the dongle itself, a USB-C to A adapter. Below that is the cable and some paperwork. The case comes in a separate package, which I bought along with the Alpha. It cost me around $20. Build quality wise, the Alpha has an aluminum body with fake leather cover on the bottom and an OLED screen along with the volume button and the multifunctional button up top. The buttons have good tactile feedback to them. Around the settings volume, there is also a status indicating light. The case for the Alpha is made from fake leather too, but I like the quality of it. It's stiff, can protect the dongle, and it fits very snugly, so you don't have to worry about it slipping out. The size of the Alpha is really big. It is one of the biggest dongle that I've used. It's even in a similar size as the DC Elite right here, and half the size of the Chord Mojo. So that's basically it for the design. Next is the settings and the functionality of the dongle. In the default mode, for the volume button, press the left side to turn down the volume and the right side to turn up the volume. For the other button, you press it once to play and pause the playback. Double press it to turn the screen on and off. Hold it for 2 seconds to enter and exit the setting menu. If you leave the dongle plugged in and it doesn't play anything, there will be a small music note floating to the screen. And when the screen is on, you can see some rough information regarding the dongle and the playback. They include the volume level, the gain, the filter that you are using, the format, and the sampling rate. The color of the status indicating light also shows the sampling frequency of the playback. Going into the settings menu, so like I said, you can hold the small button for 2 seconds to enter the settings menu, or you can control all of that through an app called Eddict Player. That app lets you play your local music file while controlling the dongle at the same time. There are 9 things that you can adjust. First is the gain level, which is either low or high. Next is the PCM filters, and there are 5 options for you to pick. They are slow or sharp roll off, low delay slow or sharp roll off, and non-oversampling mode. The differences between the filters are quite minimal, but the low delay slow roll off filters is the most warm, while the non-oversampling mode is the most neutral. The next option is the key mode, which lets you control the function of the volume button so that you can either control the DAC volume, the system volume, or for changing the listening tracks. The fourth option is to control the fonts. Next is to control the left-right balance, the brightness, the screensaver time. So this screensaver time mode is used to control how long until the screen will turn off. You can either set a specific timing or set it so that it will always be on. Next setting is the orientation of the screen and the idle time. So the idle time means that if you don't play anything through the dongle, this controls the time that the dongle will go into sleeping mode. When there is something that starts playing again, the dongle will wake up again with some short delay. I believe this is to control the battery drain of the dongle when you don't use it. Since I use the Alpha with my laptop 99% of the time, I just set the idle time to never turn off. One thing I do have to mention is that I've heard reports regarding the compatibility issues of the ONIX Alpha with its stock cable. Some said that they cannot use the Alpha with their Samsung A-series phone or with a few dApps from Hiby. They have to use a third-party OTG cable like the DD Hi-Fi TC09S or the IBasso CB19 for it to work. I believe ONIX is already addressing this issue. I personally don't have any issue regarding this, but I will still mention it just so you know. Onto the sound impression. For this review, I set the ONIX Alpha to non-oversampling mode and high gain. I paired the Alpha with a wide variety of IM to give me a more precise impression, like the Penon 0 and the SIMGOT EA1000 for the bass texture and overall timbre, the short burst glamdring for the treble and soundstage, and many more for other parts of the mid-range and technical performance. I also borrowed my friend's TJX ear totem as it is a very hard to drive earbuds. The ONIX Alpha to my ears has a bit of warm-leaning, organic type of sound. The bass is well extended, has good umps and transient speed. It's not sluggish, however, it doesn't feel very clear-cutted, a bit blurry between the notes. The mid-range is quite lush and smooth, note weight is heavy, it's easy to perceive the coloration that the Alpha brings to the mid-range here. The treble is also smooth, it has good sparkles and air to them. There seems to be some sort of upper treble taming or smoothing effect, which can help cut back the sibilance or edginess. Technical performance-wise, it's very open, similar to many recent DAC amp, has good width, decent depth and height, with decent imaging and layering. For the overall timbre signature, the ONIX Alpha leans more heavily towards the analog side rather than the hi-fi side. Synergy-wise, the Alpha is a very warm-colored dongle DAC amp, so that affects heavily on how many IM it can synergize with. For example, the EPZ530 is a bright V-shaped IM, really technical, borderline metallic, so it synergizes really well with the Alpha. However, something overly warm like the Penon Quattro won't be a good pairing with the Alpha. So overall, I would say the Alpha can synergize well with neutral or brighter types of IM. Onto the comparison, the first DAC amp that I will compare with is the Hiby FC6. Forgive me as I've just sold the Hiby FC6 the other day, but my memory of it is still fresh, so I'll be doing this review based on my memory only. I will talk about the non-sound related stuff first. The FC6 uses a Darwin architecture, an R2R technology DAC chip, while the Alpha uses 2 Delta Sigma DAC chip from Cirrus Logic. The FC6 only has a 3.5mm single edit port with 31 volume steps, while the Alpha has both 3.5 and 4.4 balance port, 100 volume steps along with higher power output. It also has many more features in the setting menu. For the sound, both of these dongles are on a warmer side. To my ears, the Alpha XI1 is like a less warm, less organic version of the FC6, as well as having better technical performance. The stage sounds more open and holographic on the Alpha, while the FC6 feels more intimate. The separation and the layering is also better. The FC6 seems to be focusing on the musicality of things. Overall, the FC6 feels way more relaxing than the Alpha XI1. One of my main problems with the FC6 is in the bass region. It feels very warm and weighty, but also quite sluggish. This is quite evident in many EDM or metal tracks where I would usually want to have a most nimble bass response. I know this has got to do with the IM you're using also, but even with a planar IM, the bass texture just feels very weird with the FC6. It feels like a diamond in the rough, lacking that bit of refinements to it, and not fully fleshed out yet. So when listening to the Alpha XI1, it shows me a quicker bass response. It has less weight, yes, but now it is more controlled and less blurry. It just feels more technical. The mid-range is way more lush, vocals got pushed more forward on the FC6. The Alpha also has a colored mid-range, but it feels more balanced in comparison. But I would say that if you want a more romantic or a mid-centric type of sound, then the FC6 is a better choice. The treble sounds like it has more treble rolled off on the FC6, but it is smoother than the Alpha. The Alpha has a linear treble response. Both of these dongles have that smoothing effect on the upper treble, taming down some metallic and harsh feeling. On the analog to hi-fi scale, I consider the FC6 to be more analog sounding than the Alpha XI1. The second source that I will compare with is the Chord Mojo. With the Chord Mojo, I found that the XI1 has a very similar overall sound signature or sound DNA. They both have a warm overall sound to me, with of course the Mojo still sound a bit better in terms of bass texture, the micro nuances and texture in the mids, the smoothness in the treble. Going by percentage, I will consider the Alpha to be around 75% of the Mojo. With other sound characteristics like the mid-range and their coloration, the stage presentation, they are very similar to one another. I may give the slight edge to the Alpha in terms of stage width, but that's it. When listening to an easy-to-drive IM like the SIMGOD EA1000, the differences can be spotted, but it's not by much. However, when switching to something like the Penon Zero or the TGX ES Totem, the difference gap is bigger, noticeable in the bass texture. With the Penon Zero and listening to the song Let's Groove by Earth, Wind and Fire, there's no doubt that the bass hits becomes tighter, deeper, more completed, and more cleanly separated. Or with the TGX ES Totem, the bass dynamics just liven up more along with better stage reproduction. Considering the Chord Mojo is almost $600 at the point of its release, and the Alpha is a 8 years newer product and only costs around $109, it's a wonder for the Alpha to be this good in terms of sound performance. Of course, these two have a lot more differences between them, as the Mojo uses a FPGA chip with Class A amplification, while the Alpha uses a more traditional Delta Sigma DAC tip. The Mojo has a battery inside and the Alpha does not. The Mojo is bigger and the Alpha is smaller. It's kind of funny how the Alpha is literally half the size of the Mojo actually. The button on the Mojo feels better, more tactile than the Alpha. The Mojo uses light to convey the mode and the volume that it's in, while the Alpha has an OLED screen. The Mojo has two 3.5mm single-ended ports that you can use it at the same time, while the Alpha has one 3.5 port and one 4.4 balance port. That feature on the Mojo has helped me a lot on my IM reviewing journey. The final comparison that I will do with is against the IBasso DC07 Pro. So the Alpha is 1.5 times bigger than the DC07 Pro. The Alpha uses two CS43198 chips, while the DC07 Pro has four CS43131 chips. The included cable is of course better on the DC07 Pro. Both dongles have their dedicated app on Android phones. On paper, the Alpha has maximum power output of 500 mW at 32 ohms, while the DC07 Pro only has 480 mW. So it's not a large difference. The DC07 Pro is more efficient, drawing less battery from the phone during use. The Alpha has a volume button and control keys, while the DC07 Pro has a control knob. Those are basically some main differences between the two. Onto the sound, these two are on a very opposite end of the spectrum. The Alpha is very warm and colored, while the DC07 Pro focuses on sounding neutral and clean. The Alpha sounds more analog, while the DC07 Pro is more hi-fi. For the bass, the Alpha has more oomph, more rounded feeling, while the DC07 Pro feels more clean. The mid-range on the DC07 Pro is drier in comparison. It doesn't have much, if any, coloration to the tone and timbre, as opposed to a lusher, more organic mid-range and more frontal vocals presentation. The Alpha sounds more veiled than the DC07 Pro, or vice versa, the DC07 Pro is more revealing than the Alpha. Treble-wise, the DC07 Pro is more resolving. It has more shimmering in the overtones, yet it doesn't sound harsh. The Alpha feels not as detailed. Soundstage-wise, I would say the DC07 Pro feels deeper, yet the Alpha has better width and more holographic feeling. The separation and the imaging is a step better on the Alpha, even if it's only by a small margin. So overall, although the DC07 Pro is a good product, it's undeniable that the Alpha has way higher price to performance ratio. The DC07 Pro is literally double the price of the Alpha. I would say if you are mindful about your budget and want to have the most bang for buck dongle currently out there, don't mind the size of a dongle, don't worry about the compatibility issues that you may have with your phones or source, which again, ONIX is currently addressing it, and like the coloration that the Alpha might add to your music experience, then yes, the Alpha is a more logical option between the two. The DC07 Pro is your other choice if you want a more resolving and hi-fi type of sound. In conclusion, for their first ever dongle DAC amp, the Alpha XI1 really is a great product from ONIX. It's not without its flaws of course, and nowhere near being a perfect DAC amp. Its size along with the warm analog sound that it's going for won't be up to liking for many people out there. Some may already say that the Alpha is overhyped. However, I believe that the hype is justified, and with the price of $109, the ONIX Alpha XI1 gives you a really great sound value for the money. That's it for my review, and thank you for watching.